Hello, comic fans. Here's Earl Grey. The EC comics have been reprinted again and again and recollected in all kinds of formats, like these softcover trades here. Actually, my first contact with the wonders of the EC comics. And they were in color here, but since the artists are so perfect and fantastic, I really dug and still do dig the fantastic Fantagraphics reprints of the same material but without color, sorted by artist. This is a random choice pick out of my shelf here with comics by Al Feldstein, but not so random, because here we have the same panel, one time colored, one time in the Fantagraphics edition, the same size. And as you know, size sometimes matters, and actually now it's the time to say goodbye to the everlasting question, which is the perfect publication for these EC books, because finally Taschen did it. They smashed sorry, I don't want to destroy the book here, but they smashed all the books that came before just by pure size. I mean, this is ridiculous almost. You know the drill. If you have got some of their similarly made Marvel editions, now they came with Weird Science 1, and this is a promise. I really wonder if they keep it, because this is just a part of Weird Science. And if you know how many series there were by EC, Tales from the Crypt, Shock Suspense Stories, The Vault of Horror, Two-Fisted Tales, Weird Fantasy, The Haunt of Fear, Weird Science Fantasy, Crime Suspense Stories. So there have to be a lot of more of these books here. But about what book I'm actually talking about? I'm talking about a book that was inside this huge pizza box. I really love this packaging, and I do put them inside of these boxes onto my shelf here. Weird Science, huge oversize, and if you look at the coloring here on the title page, you already see it's the same thing like with the Marvel books. We get the original original coloring, the original art, cleaned up a bit, but it's like you bought these books from the shelf way back in the day, in the early 50s. I still a bit on the, I don't know what to make out of these colored, single colored pages here. Or is it duotone, however. I really wouldn't care if they leave these out, but I'm not the only one who says this again and again. But here are so many pages in this book that I don't care about them too much. Speaking of page size, this is, even though a thick tome, not the biggest one of them. So this is 470 pages, 470 pages. For comparison, the Spider-Man 1 has more than 700 pages. Spider-Man 2, a bit more than 600 pages. The Frank Frazetta was almost the size of this here. So they vary in thickness, in page count, but not in the price, unfortunately. So this clocks in at 150 euros or $200. But you always can look for the sales they have here and there. I don't want to complain about minor things like page count or so, because overall this is just a beautiful, essential book with some of the most essential comics that there were. We have, the main part here obviously is the section with the weird science issues. And this one here is one of my favorite EC stories, as I've read them so far. We still have the same change of paper, the slick art print paper for the cover pages, so that you really have the feel of a magnified issue in this book here with this art paper, and then the mattish paper inside, which reprints the color and the blacks perfectly, just perfectly. And the feel of the paper here is, worth the price alone. And in this size here, you don't ask questions if the color should be there, of course. Sometimes with the smaller reproductions, the color hinders a bit the clarity of the overall art. But in this size, you really can cherish the compositions behind these beautiful comics. Yeah, I can look at The Dream of Doom, a predecessor to the Everlasting Awakening in The Sandman. And Things from Outer Space is a very good example of a story that really lets the colors pop here. It's by Alt Falstein. And I've read the story here before, but now I think this is such a splendid use of colors here in the story. Look at the crater there. And of course, you've got all these misprints and these accidents that happened when you have printed these kind of pulp magazines back in the day. But I think this is really, charming and gives the stuff this painterly feel. Look at the red down there. It looks a bit like, not intentional. But then again, I can, look through these stories here on a very separate level and enjoy just the coloring. And with the size, you really see the Band-Aid dots and how they make up the colors. Oh, look at that panel there. It's really a beauty, and I'm a bit afraid what these books here by Taschen will do to my collection, because I really have to make space for future stuff here. We have Mr. Charles Atlas, of course. In case you're a weakling, you should consider your ways. And if you don't have muscles like him, you are not able to lift this book here, which is probably the reason why I put it on the table right now there. So lots of flying saucers taking over the Earth, weird aliens, and all that kind of stuff. That was the bread and butter of Weird Science by EC. Goofy characters that instantly make you aware that these comics were the templates for a lot of comic artists, not the least among them Daniel Klaus, who is a big EC fan. The character designs in the EC comics are pure comic archetypes for me. They are so perfect. they could be hardly be improved, I think. Weird and funny and somehow threatening, like these weird government guys there, who it's always a bit uncertain if they're aliens themselves, and sometimes it's pretty clear that they are aliens. This was drawn by Al Feldstein. This one here, the Meteor Monster, by one Harry Harrison, who's maybe not as famous as the guy who inked the story here, Mr. Wally Wood, who became later on clearly the most important cartoonist of EC. The story here about the Meteor Monster really cracks me up. I think it's kind of cute here, but it really makes the people think that it's cute telepathically through his eyes. So a blind man has to save the day. And a simple idea, but really fun told, and the short amount of pages that was enough to tell a complete story with begin, middle, and end. And this is the not so little wonder of all these EC stories, that they managed to tell full-blown stories, like here, the micro race, about this professor dude who, created an apocalypse in of its own, on its own, and on his own, on just a couple of pages, and boom. There's a lot of boom here. The man who raised time, another story that is made for Harvey Kurtzman and his big, bold black lines and shapes. Clearly one of the artists who is easily distinguishable after you've read some of his pieces here. I mean, all of these artists have their certain characteristics to recognize their art, but the way he draws the clothing of that guy is very Harvey Kurtzman. Beautiful cover designs, and the page that I've shown you before, and it's really a thing of its own. Has just much more impact to see this panel here, this first panel in this almost poster size, and the pink of the skin is not just area full of pink color, but zillions of tiny pink or red dots that make this pink alive. For me, it's a big difference to that I can see this stuff here. Maybe this kind of magnification is not necessary for you young folks with good eyesight, but with my old eyes, here, Harvey Kurtzman again, it's really important to have this in the size to make out all the tiny details. So here, another piece by Harrison, that guy we witnessed before, and there's Jack Kamen, a lot of other stories by him, but this here is one of Al Feldstein again. I guess overall Harvey Kurtzman and Al Feldstein are the main artists in this collection here, alongside maybe with Jack Kamen. Yeah, another Al Feldstein story that is collected actually in the same Fantagraphics book that I've shown you before. Romance in space, a very important subject. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, it's just a stunning collection. And yeah, I flipped through the rest here in bold strokes like Harvey Kurtzman's story. This looks almost Charlie Atlas to me. He took the guy into the story here. And yeah, I don't know what I'm babbling about. This is the, I don't know, the 10,000th different collection of EC comics. But I think really this collection is the collection to end all the collections, because you can't do better than this here. So this tome here ends with issue 11, and it starts with issue 12. And you wonder, how could this be possible? Well, this is actually issue 1, and they just numbered it this way to avoid some postage costs or somehow else, and they had to pay a fine back then. And after that, I think this numbering here changed to 1 again. So this is actually Weird Science 1, and we have collected all the first 11 issues of Weird Science, and another very iconic cover. And wonderful stuff. And here we have him, the man himself, Wally Wood. I mean, I don't have to tell you that his art is made to be viewed, witnessed in this size here. All these details in their full glory. And this is a nice thing to have these biographies of back in the day of Jack Kamen, who had a story afterwards, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this story here, Only Human, is done by Jack Kamen. And he was the woman guy in EC. He drew the lushest ladies, even though in this story here it's maybe not as important, even though it's the core of the story. But however, and after that we have another big guy in the EC roster, Joe Orlando, finishing this issue and this tome with 2 crazy tales. I don't know why I'm talking. I mean, for me, a panel like this one here already would seal the deal, and just take my money and run, even though I have to say, yeah, times are a bit hard and rough, so the budget gets slimmer each month. But this book just had to be bought by yours truly. The last part of this book here is similarly made like in the Marvel books storyline. So we have a very short summary of all these stories, and the artists and who wrote the stories and so on, because not every story is signed here in this book. So it's very important to give you the information about these books here that here are included. Plus we have the biographies of the writers and artists in the back. So this finishes my overview of this book here. I mean, I can't name this a drooling report, this very critiqueless adoration of this book here review. But however, I hope you can check out this book for yourself. I have the distinct feeling that a lot of you guys who watch this video have already clicked the order button at Taschen while watching this video. So, thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.